This is the KRMG Afternoon News with Skylar Cooper.
It's time for the BA Breakdown on the KRMG Afternoon News. We do that every Tuesday just after 5 o'clock. And we check in live with Broken Arrow City Manager Michael Spurgeon. He joins us live from BA. Mr. Spurgeon, how are you?
Skylar, I'm doing great. You staying warm?
I'm trying to, yeah. It was pretty brutal in BA this morning when I let the dog out, who didn't want to come back in. I don't know what's wrong with him.
It is chilly.
I wanted to follow up on something we talked about last week. You were in that working group meeting with some idea starting type topics, I understand, and I read something in the BA paper about something that came out of that, and that was ideas for the grain elevator that the city bought last year there at the Rose District Plaza on Main Street. And after I read that article, I drove by the thing, and I thought, I have an idea too. So let me first ask you what came out of that, those ideas for the grain elevator, and then I'll pitch you my idea.
Well, just to reconfirm that, yes, the City Council authorized the administration to negotiate the acquisition of the grain or the silo last year, which we do now own. And as a part of owning it, because that is a landmark in our community, is to take the opportunity to look at the entire Rose District Plaza and envision what it could be. Obviously, we're always looking for opportunities for placemaking and to bring more people downtown into Broken Arrow. And there's a lot of land that we've acquired as a part of the grain tower from the railroad that is giving us a chance to do that. So we actually presented some ideas and suggestions to the governing body that we could include in the 2026 general obligation bond package to be voted on in April. And so right now, based on the direction given, we're going to put estimates together on the improvements that we presented, and we'll give those back to council this summer to look at as a part of the overall bond general obligation bond package.
What are some of those you can highlight for us? What might we see change?
Actually, I'm excited to share with you. Number one is that there could be an additional pavilion, because our farmers market is just blown up. It's incredible about what happens there on Saturday morning with so many different vendors. Plus, there's other events that are happening there. Also, you could see a small stage for concerts and different types of events. There's going to be some beautification, some additional parking. And really, it's just going to expand the use. So those are some of the main ideas. We are going to be painting the grain tower and then putting the city's logo on there. I think that'll probably happen as soon as the weather warms up. We'll get a contract awarded and get that taken care of. And then we're in the process of making sure that it is secure and it is safe. But obviously, we want to make sure that we can get up in there and see if there's any issues we need to deal with.
Well, I was driving by at night the other day, and I thought, well, that should be lit up. We should be able to see it if we're trying to highlight it. So maybe as you paint it and put the logo on it, install some, some of those track lights or something. Look cool.
I think that would be awesome. I mean, we did during our Christmas in Broken Arrow program, we did actually use the gobo, and we put some wording and some basically some Christmas type designs on it. So I can fully share with you that I'm in agreement with that, and I'll talk to engineering construction and some additional lighting for the grain tower. I think that would be awesome. It would just give it that additional ambiance. We keep the lights up in the trees downtown through right around the time we do the change of the time when we basically be swinging forward, because it just creates such a great ambiance. But any type of lighting, I think, would be helpful.
It's Broken Arrow City Manager Michael Spurgeon on the BA Breakdown. You're listening to the KRMG Afternoon News. I also see where it's either being considered by the council or has already been discussed, potentially helping out neighbors in Nowata after that awful fire, and they lost so much of their equipment. And I understand there was a piece of Broken Arrow's equipment that was maybe going to be auctioned off or go to the surplus lot, and maybe they'll donate that to Nowata. Is that right?
That's exactly right, Skylar. I couldn't be more happy to present this to the city council this evening. Having worked my way up in career, I understand the challenges that smaller communities have. And when you have a major fire at your public work facility and you lose vehicles, equipment, backhoes or other types of equipment that you use on a daily basis, it can be devastating. And they reached out to us and ask us if we had any equipment that we can use. And it turns out that we got a 2007 Kubota a mini excavator that's got about 7,000 hours on it. It is still, obviously, it's been used quite a bit here in Broken Arrow, but it's reached its useful life. But certainly, it would be helpful for Nowata. So it really does my heart good, and then I think the council is going to approve this surplusing, and then we can give this piece of equipment to them. We're also looking at one of our older police vehicles to give to another community. It's just our opportunity as a part of as a regional partner, even though they're not a part of our region per se, to be able to give back to another Oakland community it's just the right thing to do.
And let me ask you about something else. I heard about this a few weeks ago, and I understand it's going to come up at the city council meeting tonight. And this is out for the Wagner County side of Broken Arrow. For those who don't know, there was a death in the Wagner County jail some time back, and the family ended up getting a $13.5 million settlement. But it's my understanding Wagner County doesn't have that kind of money laying around, so they've proposed a sales tax increase to pay for it. So that's going to go on the backs of voters potentially, or in taxpayers if they approve it. What can you tell us about Broken Arrow City Council's discussion on this move tonight?
Skylar, I'm glad you brought this up. You are correct. There was a death back in 2021 in the Wagner County Jail, as I understand. As a result, the county was sued, and there was a $13.5 million judgment that was placed against the county. Now, they have a couple of choices. One of them is they could just automatically put it on the property taxes to repay that judgment over, I think it's 3 years or so. They've decided to put it forth to their voters in Wagner County in form of a 1/4 cent increase in the sales tax to repay. I believe that it would take about 15 years to do the sales tax, or as long as it would take. It could be sooner, could be longer, depending on the collections. And several weeks ago was the first time we found out about it as city officials. In fact, I've talked to a lot of folks in our community that have not heard anything about this, which is really not good. And so I just really concerned about the lack of transparency, quite frankly and respectfully, that has existed here. And so the council asked me to reach out to the Wagner County officials and see if they would come to our city council meeting to actually explain what happened, what the judgment is, what it's for, also to talk about, what operational changes have been made in order to ensure something like this doesn't happen again, and then why they chose sales tax versus property taxes. And also, honestly, Skylar, we're hearing there's at least one or two other judgments or lawsuits, I should say, that could end up in judgment. And so I think the council's goal here is to make sure we know what's going on, because we're asked every day about this. And tonight's going to be a presentation by the county commissioners. I don't know if the council members will allow any comments, because if they have comments for or against that, those should be actually made at a Wagner County Commissioners meeting where all three commissioners can be there and the sheriff can be there, and there can be a full discussion just like they would if it was a city issue. Yeah, I can imagine Wagner County taxpayers wouldn't be happy to necessarily foot that bill for something they had nothing to do with. Well, there's a lot of people that have expressed concern. The reality is that a judge has made a decision, and the amount has to be paid, and it will be paid. It's just a matter of how they will pay for it. And I think the tax measure says something specifically that if the sales tax measure doesn't pass, then it'll automatically go on to the property taxes. And so they've got information that would show what the increase would be in a property tax if the measure didn't pass. But I'm very excited. I spoke to the county clerk, and I think the presiding county commissioner is coming tonight, maybe even the sheriff. And so we're going to just have a discussion. I'm sure council members are going to have many questions, and we're going to make sure there's full transparency, at least so we can answer the questions we're getting from Broken Arrow residents that live in Wagner County, because a lot of people may not know this, is that 48% of everyone that lives in Wagner County either lives in Broken Arrow city limits or within the unincorporated area of Wagner County, but has a Broken Arrow address, or zip code, I should say, zip code. And so there's a vested interest here on the part of our city to make sure we know what's going on. I'll be interested to see how that all shakes out. Michael Spurgeon, the city manager in Broken Arrow, thanks for joining us.